The other day, I didn't have my glasses. And as a result, I kept thinking that I didn't cover the things I need to cover. I totally did. The problem is I couldn't see it very well. So not personal school. Those constraints we talked about are all acceptable constraints. So you remember the message equals and so forth. So as an example, size. If you look down here, it tells you the various elements or descriptions you can have. Obviously, message is going to be part of them. Size can have a min or a max, and so forth, right? Size equals, and so forth as a min, max, and so forth. Things like groups we can ignore. Things like payload, we can ignore. If we want to get really, 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 truly fancy, we can get in there. But most of these things just have a message, right? So, but we did actually cover it. All the information is actually there. Strings should use size, and numbers should be used min and max. Okay? Right? I ran into a problem when I was doing homework, whatever, the most recent one. I had to redo it. I couldn't find it. I must have posted it somewhere on a different computer. I don't know. But I had to redo it, and I redid it. Unfortunately, it took me like 15 minutes, so that might make you cry. Solutions online. But when I was redoing it, I kept testing it. I kept failing a test. It's like, what the fuck is wrong? It's because I made the varchars pretty small. 20 characters for the body is ridiculously small. That is like so small, it shouldn't. So we should have made that much larger. But in my case, I used varchar 20. Varchar maybe 200, maybe more accurate for a body, right? That way you write a message and say, this game sucks. I hate this game, blah, 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 blah. Makes sense, right? But for having a 21 is more like a title. But everything else works. If that ever happens to you, that's the varchar. Just make that number bigger. All right, but I did cover it. It is covered, so we don't need to go back over that. That's kind of what I was trying to say the other day. But I didn't do a great job. So we're going to wrap up the web stuff today, the non-programming part of the web stuff. So that's like cascading style sheets and HTML, right? Y'all watch the video? You look like you're full of. Let's have a pop quiz. No, I'm kidding. So cascading style, I'm just giving you a hard time. Look, pop quiz is like a. So, but anyway, if you watch the video, you saw we generated HTML code via So that's really important because homework 3, it's part 2 of homework 3. Hello. So that's part of it. The second or the last part of it is cascading style sheets. It's pretty simple, so we're going to go over that. I am going to do what I call the literal bare minimum. So what I mean by that isn't that I don't want to teach you CSS. I don't want to even pretend that I'm going to teach you all of CSS. What I'm going to do is teach you enough for you to be dangerous and at least know how to connect it to your actual code. What's going to happen ideally when you guys get a job, someone is going to be in charge of making it pretty. Your job is to make it work. But you have to know how that part goes in. Okay? Okay. But cascading style sheets are pretty darn important. So we'll explain the need for them and why they're important. We'll discuss CSS to enhance presentation layout. And then we'll explain several styles of using CSS. All right. HTML tags were originally designed for just the content. They were never designed to make a page look a certain way. The commercial aspects of the internet, I am recording. Commercial access to the internet very quickly made it important for them to look a certain way. Very, very quickly. As the two major browsers continued to grow, they kept adding new tags, and then it became more difficult to separate content from layout. In fact, unfortunately, HTML is forever entwined together. To solve this problem, the World Wide Web Consortium, W3C, the people responsible for HTML, actually created something called styles. All major browsers support cascading style sheets. And why are they important? Because they can actually separate the presentation from the data, right? Which is always important. The computer scientists don't need to get this concept beaten in their heads because you kind of get a feel for why it's important. I can work on the data aspects of it and somebody else can make it pretty. right? Y'all get it to a certain degree. So I'm not going to go in too much time, but you can actually define how HTML elements are displayed for the entire website. You can create an external file and everybody references that external file. And then everybody has the same style on every page with very little actual effort on each individual page. Websites like roosevelt.edu, as an example, are massive, right? Just a catalog by itself has thousands of pages. Managing the style of thousands of pages is pretty darn difficult unless you have this. Computer scientists are pretty aware. You've had code before, so you know when you go tinker with something, if you have something six places, you go tinker with it, you're going to miss one of those 6 places, right? So you know why this is important. That's kind of the point, right? CSS allows developers to control the style and layout of multiple web pages. And what's really great is it actually defines the style, right? Like you can make it look like whatever you want. So you can make it do its thing, and then somebody can come along in a CSS editor and edit it, upload it, and now bang, the web pages look vastly different. How different? Vastly different. They can change just about anything with CSS. We're going to make it look slightly pretty, right? We're going to do some things with styles, but not like go crazy, but like there's a lot more you can do. Yes. And then now you'll start to understand some of the jokes that you see online. So, you know, they'll have something like really styled, really weird, and somebody say, oh, it's a CSS guy, right? Whatever. That's because of these things. You can define a style for each HTML element, apply to any many pages you want. And when you make a global change, you simply change the style. And everything that matches that changes. That's how we manage massively large websites, because otherwise it's too much work. If you want to change, for example, if you have thousands of websites, and let's suppose that each of those websites has a header on it at some point, right? You want to change all the header styles at once, right? CSS makes it easy. Imagine you couldn't have CSS. You had to actually go in and change each header style. Now we can't go get somebody to go get our coffee because he's busy changing the titles. Do you see what I mean? No, I'm joking, but you get the idea. So how do we use them? So they can be actually specified in lots of different ways. So with the Navy, we did, again, pretty much the bare minimum. We tried to get the page to not be quote unquote unpleasant, but it wasn't about making it pretty. It was about making it work because there was a lot of things to do. But in other places I work, they manage everything in an external CSS file. Nothing goes into the page. Very little things are changed via HTML, and so we had to do very little. But we want to talk about the different ways we can have it. You can actually have CSS style inside the element. So you can change a style slightly or whatever inside the element. That's problematic though, because everywhere I want that change, I need to have that style in that, right? So that's a problem. You can keep it inside the head. Now inside the head tag, now it's for the page, but again, I need that same thing in every page. And the external CSS file is the preferred way to do it, of course, because then you can share it across documents. What is meant by cascading? What style will be used when there's more than one style specified for the same element? Remember, I just said you can specify inside the element, inside the page, and outside externally, right? I got one more way to specify a style. Something called browser default. So I'm going to pick on him today. I don't know why. Probably because he saw me yesterday and I was looking like, what is it? Hot garbage. Hot, wet garbage. There you go. Right? I had my hair down, hat on. I had a nice shirt, but it was like I had sweatpants, right? I was living life, man. So I'm going to give him a hard time. So Nathan has his browser default. He has all the headers, and he wants them to be bright purple and blinking, as an example, because of course, that is what we consider the lowest setting. You can actually set, font sizes, color choices, not color choices, color scheme type situations. Like you can change the defaults quite a bit. Most people do not. Most people change the size of a font and leave it alone, but you could. This is what we consider the lowest, because that is the furthest away from the actual element. That's an easy way to remember. It's the furthest away. External style sheet, only slightly less further away, but it's further away. Internal style sheet, that's inside the head tag, and an inline style is inside the HTML element, that's the highest. So what happens when we have we're changing the way an H1 tag looks, right? We're making it green and all caps, I don't know, making something up. Suppose if we use an external style sheet and then somewhere else there's an inline style that has the same, that's trying to change the color of an H1 tag to like purple. No, not purple, because that's the browser default. So just different shade of green, maybe. And then your internal style sheet inside the head tag is trying to change it to yellow, and his browser default is trying to change it to purple. Who wins? Cascading style sheets cascades into a virtual style. So the further we get away, the less precedence it has. So it starts off the other way around. So like flip it upside down. If it's inside the HTML element, highest precedence, that's the one that wins, and the other ones are just ignored. But it creates, essentially inside the browser, it creates a style sheet for that page, okay? And that helps it decorate the page. So it creates a virtual style sheet. That's why it's called cascading. All right, so let's get into it. CSS syntax is made up of 3 parts. This is it. This is like the hardest part of it. No, not really. When you want to, here's something I really want to emphasize. So you're going to create your own web pages, and I'm going to say, hey, do something with CSS, right? Do a couple things, maybe 5, 6 tags. I don't have a limit, right? You know, I don't have a bottom limit, but do something, right? You don't have to go crazy. But what I really want you to avoid is this situation where you have to have it perfect. Do you know what I mean? Like if you have to have it perfect, you can, instead of spending like 20 minutes doing the CSS stuff, spend like 3 hours doing the CSS stuff. Avoid that rabbit hole. Focus on good enough. That's all you need to do for me. You can't, if you're worried about the bare minimum, ask me, okay? Usually not hard, right? Use an external style sheet with some styles and then make it so it works on all the pages. No one seems to have a problem with that in the class. No one's lost points. One kid, well, actually, I take that back. One kid did absolutely nothing. And I don't know why I was looking at Nathan like that just now, but yeah. So one kid did absolutely nothing, and that's the only time points got taken off for it. I mean, like literally nothing. So don't go down a rabbit hole and spend 6 hours trying to figure out how to get this thing to move over. Chances are I don't know either, by the way, right? And so forth. So be careful on that. You can find many rabbit holes. You want to make it look exactly this way, or you want to move it over. Why is this moving this way and this one's moving that way? And then I want them both to move. This could be hours later, right? I'm going to show you something later, just as an example. So you have 3 things. You have selector, property, and value. So selector is what you're going to assign this style to. So it's usually an HTML element or a tag of interest. We're also going to be able to specify what we call classes. We'll talk about that later. We haven't done it yet. But then you have a property. That's a property that you wish to change. What if I change a property that doesn't exist? Just ignored. Okay? Which is great, but bad. Right? This is not going to be, HTML and CSS are not one of those things where you get errors. Right? Nice when you get errors. The errors indicate something went wrong, right? But there's good news, and I'll talk about that later. We're going to actually start to look at Google's developer options, developer tools, and we'll be able to look at when a cascading happens, we'll be able to look at it. And of course, the value you wish to set. Again, the value must be an actual value you can set on the property. Like if you set the background color to null, that's not a color. So it's ignored. Okay? Pretty simple. But some are going to be annoyed. Good news is, just like HTML, there's a huge tutorial to help you with all these things. Yes? Yes. After the selector, the property and value are separated by a colon and surrounded by curly braces. For example, body color is black. Ta-da! That is setting the foreground, by the way. Color by itself is foreground. There's no, you can set the background, sure, but the color by itself is always the foreground. So if you're just setting the text color or TR color or whatever, you're actually setting the text color, not the actual background. That's not what you wanted to do. If the value is in multiple words, we have to put them in quotes, like sans serif. I don't usually change fonts because I think it's annoying. Sorry, but I do. I don't know why. I don't know. I don't like it. I just don't like it. But what a lot of people do is they use sans serif or they use the other one. Sans serif is not actually a font. It's a family of fonts. So we use a font family instead of the specific font. That way, if the font doesn't exist, the page still renders. So you can have some control over the way the page renders. If you wish to specify more than one property, separate them with a semicolon. To make the style definitions more readable, you can do one property on each line like this. Ta-da! Not really. It's not really complex. There's nothing complex about this. You can group selectors by separating the selectors with a comma. Be careful that the spaces are weird. It may or may not work really well on spaces. So I usually remove spaces between the commas. Class selectors. This is important. We will actually play with this. With a class selector, you can define different styles for the same type of HTML element. So, for example, you have a paragraph tag, and you want some of those paragraph tags to right align, and then you want some of them to center align. So you can go p.right and p.center, and essentially you're establishing a selector with a class. So p.right, p is the selector, right is the class. So inside the code, inside the HTML element, we're going to write class equals right, and that's going to move. That's when it's going to be right aligned, and the p class center is going to be center aligned, which is important because we can do it without the selector. And that way, anything that has a class may be centered as an example, right? If you want to center a bunch of things in the page, we don't need to write a bunch of actual classes to do that. We just write a single class that doesn't have a selector, and then we can attach it to whatever we want, like an H1 tag in this case, a paragraph tag as well. To apply more than one class per element, the syntax is just to separate them with spaces. That shouldn't be an issue though. I don't like that. I typically will define a style that I want because we can do some pretty simple things here. So I just define a style that I want. And then, you know, for a P tag, and I put all the stuff for the P tag, or put all the stuff for the H1 tag, or whatever I'm doing. And then I leave it there, right? What some people do is they organize their CSS code by actually creating everything as classes and then just tacking on the classes that they need or the classes that they want. But that's pretty much, you know, text HTML level CSS, right? There's not much different from that. So I don't do that. You can also define styles for HTML elements with the ID selector, which is specified as a, let's call it, I avoid this like the plague. And you go, why do I avoid it like the plague? Pretty simple. We use ID frequently for JavaScript. So when we have JavaScript doing stuff with ID, we also probably want nothing else to do anything with ID, right? If we change an ID or we do something weird in JavaScript, all of a sudden now the CSS is going to work. How about screw that, right? So either use the classes or the ID selector, right, this thing, or vice versa, right? So your JavaScript stuff that you'll do will either can be used the class or the ID. I almost always use the ID. And so that's kind of the point. But I don't use the selector. I think it's weird. Use one or the other. CSS comments, you can use comments in CSS if you need to explain something. It's pretty, I will say it's pretty rare. HTML, like what we're going to do in the class is eventually we're going to get to the point where we're using Angular and we'll have a template thing for Angular, and there's every now and again there's code in a template, right? And so we might want to explain something. So HTML comment makes perfect sense. Every now and again, you do something crazy, you might want to put a comment in your CSS. Professionally, you see it all the time. For this class, since we don't do anything really crazy, I doubt it, but you could put a comment. So how to insert? You gotta shove it in your HTML, right? So we can, like we said, we can put it in the HTML element, we can put it inside the head element, we can do an external CSS. We'll discuss how to now. So external style sheet's pretty simple. You create a style sheet, name it .css, just a text file, and then you link into it called link relative, and then you say the relation is going to be style sheet. It's a type text CSS. It's always that. And then href, it's location. You give its location, and that's done. You do that in the head, and that's it. Everything from that external style sheet will now be inside the web page. That's it. You do that on every page that you have. Pretty simple. This is the expectation that you'll be using for the project, as well as your homework, whatever. This one that's coming up. Yes, pretty simple. And I'm going to primarily do it. I might just show you some of the other stuff, but I won't. I'll spend most time with the My Style CSS. Yay! All right, internal style sheet. You can actually use a tag called style type CSS, and then you just put the CSS tags in between. Yeah, I grabbed this from somewhere. I don't remember even where I grabbed it, but yay. Not recommended. Don't do it, but you could. If you really needed something specific to be different about this page, you could do it. We have browser problems when we have unknown tags, or now we get into areas where browsers might not know about it. Hint, most modern browsers will know about it unless you're using some ancient thing. But if you want, you can always wrap it in a HTML comment. That the browser will ignore if it doesn't understand the style, it will ignore the style tag, but it'll see the comment style and it'll just comment it out. Yes, inside the style, this is meaningless. This has no meaning, so it's fine to be there. Pretty cool. We'll do that with JavaScript as well. Just sort of an introduction. Inline style loses many of the advantages, but you can actually have a style attribute with most of your tags. So for example, P style equals color sienna, margin left to 20 pixels, as an example. You should use this extremely sparingly. There should be almost no reason to ever use it. Online tutorials, that's where we're going to spend most of our time today because I want you to use tutorials. I don't actually want to spend an hour and 3 days talking about CSS. You know why? Well, because then we won't get to the front end, and then you won't know how to do front end development. Some of you might want to be front end developers.
Do they make the same money?
No.
Not even
No, they do make good money. It's not they're not poor, but go on dice.com and check the back-end developer from a front-end developer. Back-end developers are, not to say real developers, but they do a lot more development-like work as opposed to doing more styling work. Styling work. Notice I said styling work. Yeah, I don't like that. So I was like, fuck that. All right. So now I'm going to talk about colors for the first time. Yay, we're going to make things different colors, right? We haven't actually created a what's called, but we do need to talk about colors. HTML, we didn't talk about it with HTML, but we do need to talk about it now. So HTML, you have a way of two ways of specifying colors. You have named colors, which is great, right? So orange, Dodger blue, violet, light gray, whatever. 150, 140 standard color names, and here they are, right? As you can look it up. Yes? Or you can set it using a number, okay? And that number is usually a hexadecimal value. So you can actually see it with the color names. You see them, I'm near blind, but let's see if I can zoom in. Yeah, there you go. You see these little things in the back? You know what those are? Those weird parenthesis signs? That's the coral is the red, green, and blue value. So this FF means full red, all red, right? That's the largest size red you can get. 7F, quite a bit of green. Not full green because it's a 7. 7's like in the middle, right? One number is 7 and the other number is F. So but a lot of green, more than half, but not much more. 50 is actually a relatively small number compared to FF. So very little blue. And you're like, wait a second, let's look at another one. Let's look at cyan. Oh my God, this is actually named Dark Goldenrod. So sorry, I apologize. We have to do this one. Dark Goldenrod. It's a hysterical name, isn't it? I mean, yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's hysterical. So as you can see, it has B8, which is a relatively B is 11, right? So it's 11, 8, which is a pretty big number. 88 is the next, or 86 is much smaller, much smaller. Then the final one is 0B. 0 means there's right, there's no 100, right? But the B means there's 11. So that means there's only, out of the 255 possibilities, we're at 11. So it's a very low blue number, right? And you don't have to use a name color. Like if you just really want something like Blanche Almond, but you want it to be a slight midge darker, you can just add numbers to those, to the red or to the green or to the whatever, and get there. But most of you are going to want to know what black is. Black is all zeros, right? It's the absence of color. All white is all Fs, right? Because that's the highest number. It's like full, like all colors. And then this is the most important. Gray is the same no matter what you do. It's the same number for all three values. So this one's dark gray. It's A9, A9, A9. My favorite, and I'll use it at some point. Oh, there's 16. Tim Gray is 69, 69, 69. Gainsborough is DC, DC, DC. 80, 80, 80. Do they have my favorite one? No, they probably don't. I use Cocoa. That's my favorite one. It is actually a color. It should be on here somewhere, but it is a gray. Here it is, silver. They call it silver. But it's a kind of an in-between number. Yes, it's a good in-between number. Whatever. All along is grayscale. If you want it to be grayscale, just keep all those R green values alone. Now, this is where things get crazy because I know some of you are just like, yeah, but that doesn't help me. What if I really want this color? This particular color. And I don't want to look for it. I don't want to sample. I know what color I want. There is almost guaranteed a color picker. Nope. Yeah. You can set the R green B values, but there's almost always a color picker. I couldn't find it. Yeah, but there is a color picker, by the way. And you can set whatever you want, but there's a color picker. I don't see it here for whatever reason, but this is the most common way to set it, by the way, is the hexadecimal, which is the one I showed you just a minute ago. Now, I don't know why they don't have a color picker because they usually do. But anyway, color picker just to let you select the color and then the gradient, and then it gives you the hexadecimal. It outputs a hexadecimal. Pretty simple. If you can't find one, just go Google. Oh, yeah, color picker. There you go. I like this because if you pick a color, it also shows you what other colors look like on it. So it's kind of useful for that. All right, moving along. That's color. Let's go ahead and do some simple stuff. Now, looking at what we did last class, unfortunately, I don't have it super available because I already forgot where I put stuff. But if you give me a second, I will remember. Oh, yeah. Can't see anything, right? I knew it on October 12th. This was October 17th. Oh, I remember. Ta-da. I remember. I'm an idiot. Hold on. Let me open it up so I can grab it. Oh, I don't really need to do that. I can just do this. I'm sorry. I have to wear my glasses. Super dork. Not because I'm wearing glasses. People wearing glasses is cool. But not remembering that you need glasses when you need glasses is not so cool. I not knew it. I thought I did. October 17th. I did code that day. There it is. I guess it's on the desktop. I mean, I just couldn't find it. There we go. I was just trying to find it where it was. Okay. Shit. It's in a new folder already. Whatever. I'm gonna grab it on a new folder. We are not going to, I don't believe we're gonna keep it open, but we don't need to just do this. New folder. Easier to find things this way. We don't or shouldn't need to generate code. And so, yeah. So we shouldn't need to generate code. And as a result, oops, we can actually use just the code from it, or just the, it's not right. Who the hell are those files? Are they in source main? Yep, there they are. Here's those HTML files, right? So since we shouldn't need to generate HTML files, I'm not going to actually have it in a, what you call it. If I need to, and I decide that, you know what, I need to do it, we'll just copy October 19th and I'll recreate it, but I don't think we will. All right, so I don't care about all the other stuff. Only care about index and major. Already created, pretty much like we did in class, right? Not pretty much like we did in class. It is functionally what we did in class. And you can see we also have links and stuff. And, or I guess we didn't really create links. Oh yeah, SID and major, but we don't have an add student. We're about to have an add student. So I'm going to clean up these web pages a little bit. And then what I'm going to do, because I don't really want to open NetBeans, is I'm going to show you the other tool called VS Code. It's free. Takes 2 seconds. Super useful for with Angular because it does help you a little bit with code completion and code highlighting at least. But yeah, it opened 2 different ones for the different folders. All right, I want the other one. There we go. So this is the web page we're trying to make into a web page. Okay. Don't really care about that. At the end of the table, we're going to create a link. And you can do the same thing I did in NetBeans. Nope, apparently I cannot. It does not work. It does not work. You can do that though. Add a student, boom. And to keep everything sort of on the up and up, and go in here and we're going to put that there as well. And then for add student, at the bottom of the page, we're going to go ahead and have a say the student list. Okay, should have done this the other day, but obviously I didn't. Go back in student and let's just open something. Right? And where's my link? Okay, so which student list am I operating on? Oh, yeah, but I save it. Yeah, and you go, wait, that's it? Was what I was missing. Yay, add a student. I also, you can see I did no styling whatsoever. I just have them there. Yes, and make this a little bit bigger. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to just change some things. We might change the background of the website. I usually use green just because it's easier to use green, but let's go ahead and create a new text file and try our first attempt at CSS, and then I can't read that even close. Oh, I'm going to name it student.css, just because it's for the student website. You can name it whatever you want. Sometimes I name it site. And voila, nothing, because I didn't do the link relative. Now, most of the time I just copy it in, but I'm going to actually try to do it now. Right? And this is the wrong folder. I still have this other one open. Bye. This is the one I want. Okay. So we're going to go student.css. Ideally, we should say type and then text/CSS, but if we don't, that's also fine. It'll figure it out. Most browsers will just figure it out. Okay. So now, it seems basic until you want to change the color of something. Until you actually have some activity that you wish to do, it seems pretty basic.
So,
but can be a little bit complicated. What?
if you center it, is it going to center it with the web page, or is it going to center it with the little box that you have over there?
It centers it in its, that's a good question.
Space, right?
It centers in its space available, but the bad news is what space is it available in? If we look at the web page, where is it in the H1? H1's in the body, right? So its container is this whole web page. So as a result, it would be over here.
You create borders though, correct?
Yeah, in fact, we're about to do that now. So, because why not, right? Gonna go ahead and border. Borders are complicated, so I'm just gonna go with a 5-pixel border and just leave it at that. They're complicated. You can do all sorts of things. We'll see that in a minute. I just don't remember. So, nope, screwed up the border. That's all right. Didn't I open the? I did not open it. I closed it, I think. Nope. Shoot, I closed it. Marp. If you just type T2 as tutorial, it's the most easiest thing to get to in the whole world, right? So you go to borders. I screwed up borders. That's it. I just want a border. Oh, just change border style. That's it. Stupid thing. All right. And what are my options for border style? Solid. Go with solid. There are a lot more. You can specify width, blah, 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 blah. Well, let's go with solid. You can specify a color as well. I'm not going to because I don't care. But ta-da! Borders are a good way. By the way, this is actually a point that he was making. If I wanted to center it, where would it be centered in? Be centered within its borders. If you draw a border, you can see actually stretch out how far it goes. So if I wanted to center the entire web page and I wanted a list of students over it, what I could do is create a table or put these together some kind of way, and then they would be bordered. They would be together. But I don't really wish to do that, but we could. We could. Border is actually really complicated, but border is actually one of those really fun ones. I'm going to play with border when we come back to making the links. So we'll come back to that in a little bit. We just wanted to change the color. Now let's go ahead and do a little bit more because it's always fun. We're going to go with the body. And it's a background color? Never remember. There you go. And we're going to pretty much stick with colors that are defined. So we're going to go with dark green. And we'll see what it looks like with our dark green and our green. You don't like that, do you?
I think the golden.
Dark goldenrod. Oh my God. Okay, then we go dark goldenrod. That's fine with me. Right. Dark goldenrod. I mean, really, it's the first option. It always should be your first option. So you thought the other was going to make your eye bleed. This is not better. Huh? No, it is readable, but I'm going to change the color so that it is, in fact, I'm going to end up in a green color scheme eventually. But you notice that the green no longer matches the dark green. So you actually need to not be green. You need to be like, you need to stick with the green is easier to deal with if it's the primary color, and then you can go dark and right, and then you can go dark on top of it. That's a lot better looking kind of thing. Goldenrod, right? This dark green is probably not dark enough, I don't think. But maybe we go with a light green. Boom.
What about like putting the image as the background?
You just set the background images. You saw that in the slides. I just don't do it. I just don't do it in practice because I don't.
That's actually pretty as well.
Huh?
That's actually
No, it's not. No.
There was something to put images in there now.
No. Not that I'm aware of. I'll look at the homework before we leave, but I don't think so. But anyway, light green, dark green. I forget there's an actual rule. We are not, what's the word? Graphic designers. So there is no, I can't tell you specifically how to make it work, but you need to have a certain number of distance between the two variables, between the two colors for it to be, what's the word you use, legible? So that is something you have to have. All right, now let's play. All right, so we like the A tag, right? Let's go ahead and get my border, get going. Border style. We're gonna go solid. And already screwed this up. So boom. Go back to our CSS borders. Excuse me, our CSS thing. And I want links. Because we can make a link button. And that's all. I just want to show you how to make a link button. I don't care about the link states. We're going to learn about that. Text decoration. This is one of my most important ones when you're doing a link, is to take the default text decoration off of it. You don't want it to be underlined and all that crap. Set the background color. I don't care. There it is. The link button. Boom. This kind of hit. The reason I do this is that it hits all of them at once. And you're like, what do you mean? It hits all of them at once. It has all of the things. Like it has background color, it has padding, it has a foreground color, it has text align, it has text decoration, and it has a display style. And you're like, wait, what? Also, I'm not going to use this 36. I am literally hysterical. I know. I know I'm the funniest professor that you've ever heard of. I get it. No, it's fine. I'm just too much to handle. No, I understand. Anyway, so I'm going to set it to be lime green. It should, what you call it? It's not going to, but we'll talk about that in a minute because there's not a big enough difference, right? It is different. You can see it now, right? But that is a link, link, right? And you're like, wait, it has everything. What do you mean everything? First of all, the text color is specified in the thing. We also specify a background color, right? I'm actually going to use the same background color. So it will be a button, but it'll disappear. Yes. Or I could go light sea green. Let's see what light sea green. No. We need to stick with goldenrod, not dark goldenrod, because we don't want to be monsters, right? We'll go with goldenrod, and then we'll make this green. Whatever. I'm just making shit up at this point. Colors wise, we're gonna have a scheme at the end, but we're just playing with things. So you have a foreground and a background, which is great. You also have padding, and padding is super important Because what padding does, padding's not your friend. It's none of this is your friend, to be honest with you. But I just took the padding off of one side of it. I took it off the top and the bottom, but left it on the sides. Padding has 4 different variables. Wait, what? You can set padding with using 2 variables like I just did, with 1 variable or with 4 variables. Excuse me, 1, 2, or 4. 1, padding's the same everywhere. So if I go 0 and then go this, it looks like epic shit, right? There's literally no padding on it. But if I go change it to, and I'm being ridiculous so you can see it, right? If I change it to 100, where's F5? Okay, here it is. Nope, that's, I guess there we go. It's a square. Yes. If you need a square, padding's good. You probably don't want padding to look like that. You want it to look like a button, right? So what are you doing? You want at least 2 areas. So go with 100 and 200 pixels. Being ridiculous again. Yes? Now it's going to look like a box, a giant box, but a box. This is the scale that you want. Obviously not 100, 200, right? But this is the scale you want. So you can drop this, I don't remember what it was originally, but to 15 pixels and 30 pixels. Should be good, right? You get your scale down, bang, it looks like a button. Ta-da! Right? But it has padding, which I have to explain anyway. Padding's not your friend. It's no fun. Sorry, just the way it works. Padding is going to be one of those areas you want to be careful with because you could probably make it look okay pretty quickly. Very quickly, in fact. Or you spend all day trying to get the padding. Yes? Does it make sense? So be careful. Okay? I'm not joking. Like you can really spend all day doing that. It's not something you probably want to do. So I'm going to make the actual background of it to be the same here. This dark color, and then I'm going to make the front like a super light gray. So
with the 4 variables, what would the other 2 be doing? Is that just for each side?
Yeah.
Okay.
So if I wanted an what's the right word? Like offset, want one bigger. Like if I want it to look like this, or I want it to look like this, or I would say a lot of time the padding is used to create padding above. Like when you think about a paragraph in your thing, sometimes you want space between the thing that you're working with and the thing that came before it. And that's a good reason too, but it just doesn't make sense in our particular application. I'm going to go back with lime because lime is just fun. It makes me think of tacos. I like tacos. All right. But then again, who doesn't like tacos, right? I mean, honestly. All right. So we do have 2 different types of links. So we are going to have to specify these differently at some level because this is going to be inside. This is going to be inside a table row, and this is not. So if I want to make this look different than this, I have to do something special. So what if I told you I only want this to look like a button and I want this to just look like text? That's an example. How can I do that? Well, the easy way to do it is I go into the index. This is the index I was looking at, right? Yes. And I go class equals BTN or whatever. Doesn't matter. Right? And then I go to student CSS and I go now, what if I wanted to decorate the ones in the table row? I can do that as well. I'll do it at some point. I'm not going to do it right now, but I'll do it at some point because we want that button. Now, one other thing I want to point out is we have text decoration via none. By default, text decoration is specified to be underlined, a different color if it's visited, and all those things. You have different states. But I just am blocking all of that. The inline block is what's forcing this to actually be a block and be a like. So what if, and I'm going to do one more that's going to be the bane of my existence, but I'm going to do it. I'm going to have margin top, and I'm going to set that to be 30 pixels. And we're going to see what that does. Again, margin has 4 different directions, and it has, fortunately, I like this better because it has margin dash top. Padding does too, though. I didn't do it, but padding does too. So this should move to add a student down. This, if I wanted to move it over, I just put padding left or whatever. I can also specify, not padding, sorry. Margin. I can also specify margin in the same way I specified padding. Just look at the instructions. It's pretty simple, but that's how you move something around. Padding is how you move something around inside of something. Margin is how you move something around outside of something. All right. One other thing I really like, and I'm going to do it. I'm going to try to do it. It's going bad. You ever play with border radius? Yeah, border radius is hard. So I'm going to go 10 pixels, 10 pixels. So this is the easy part. And then 10 pixels. Yes? I could have just specified 10, but I'm going to be stupid and change it because it's fun. Oh, did I not screw it up? No, I must have screwed it up. Hold on. Go back to borders. This is kind of fun. I was playing with this. Somebody actually wanted rounded borders on something. And so that's all it is. Border radius. Oh, you just specify a radius. That's cool. Yeah, I was right the first time. I can't see because it says low. I was affecting my quality. There you go. Bing, bing. And yay. It's not even that rounded. I have some news. So that's also works like padding. I just couldn't get it to work. You can specify a different radius for each corner. And that, so if you have like a group of links, you can specify just the end ones to be rounded if you chose to do so. Yeah, I don't care. One other thing I want to show you, because it's fun, is we have a text style thing. And I'm just playing around so you get some various ideas. Hopefully you find the tutorial super useful. There's nothing that you specifically have to do. So like I don't have like, it's not like the tables and the forms in HTML, right? So there's nothing that you're going to have to recreate this, right? We don't have things like that. But there are some things I do like to play with. And I want to do that now. So we have a text thing I want to show you. It's text formatting. We can specify color pretty quickly. You can specify it in the body pretty easily. And we'll do that in a minute, but that's not really what I'm interested in. I want text decoration. Yay. So we know that none means. We know what that means, right? You don't just have text decoration. I want to see what wavy does. Let's see what wavy does. Should we see what wavy does? We should see what wavy does. Oh yeah. Might do nothing because we did separate specified text decoration as none. Nope. Pooey. All right, let's actually add it to something else.
Decoration to underline, make the underline wave,
Hmm? No. What?
because you just set the none in the code.
Yeah, but I did set it to something else to see if we can see what wave it looks like. Okay, I put it on body. I don't see anything being wavy. That sucks. Maybe I have to specify both. Hold on.
I think it's because, so you set the text decoration line to underline and then move. But in the code, yours is set to none, so there's no.
Okay.
Wave.
I don't want it to be underlined.
You can set it to like line through and.
Yeah, I know, but I don't want it to be line through. I want it to be normal. Ah, I just said text decoration at the bottom. See? I bet you I can set wavy. See? Boom. That's what I needed to do. See how infuriating it is? You do need to make sure you're saving it. Yeah, Yeah, I shouldn't be screwing with this anyway, because it's a link. I really don't, I really want that to be none, but let's set text decoration. It's wavy is an option, baby. Oh shit, I know what's wrong. I'm sorry. Give me just 2 seconds. Index, where's index? This is text in the page, blah, 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 right? Whatever. Okay, also not wavy. I don't know. I'll have to look up the waviness. I don't play with that. I just was going to say text decoration. You can make things bold. No, text decoration isn't how you make things bold. I don't know. It usually says the options is the kind of the point. Yeah, examples aren't helping. I was looking to see what I don't care. I'll look it up. But you can set things to be underlined and those type of things via text decoration. I'm going to ignore that and just look at alignment real quick because that is going to be something somebody's going to want to do. And we're going to set the text align to be left instead of right, student. And then we're set the, oops, text align is center here. I'm going to set it to left. Oops. I'm going to set it to left here. And I'm going to set this guy to be left as well. Just so you can see what that looks like. It's just going to align. Remember that box we had? The border? It's just going to move the thing inside the border. So, or it should have, and it doesn't.
Is everything already set?
Yeah, it's already there.
Is it just left as default?
Yes. I haven't been drinking, but I didn't have my second cup of coffee. Might as well be the same thing.
This is annoying.
There.
This is why CSS sucks.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I can see that how I will definitely be doing that.
But the other thing is you don't want to do the rabbit hole. You really don't need to.
Yeah.
You just really want to do what you got to do and get out. Because otherwise you'll be here all day. And there's no good reason to be here all day.
So,
Yeah. And notice also that the padding is such that in this particular element that it is text, it is right aligned, it is center aligned. The padding is setting the where it's supposed to be, so text align really had no actual effect on it. If it was bigger, yes, maybe, but the padding is setting where it's got to be. Okay, so there's one other thing I want to show you, and that is a button that makes button work. Yes. Also, gonna move that the fuck back. That is just not happening. I'm sorry, that's like not happening. Oh, did I not save it? That's what's wrong. Like that is annoying. That is annoying right there. Boom.
Should we get minus points if it's like that on that?
I won't give you minus points, but I'll be like, what the is this dude doing? All right, again, look, we go to major and nothing happens because major is actually not doing anything. Okay, so let's actually go screw around for a second in major because it's fun to screw around. I always think it's fun. So all I'm going to do is copy this. So adds, I'm going to do nothing but do this. And put it in here. I did nothing.
Which order you put that in?
No.
There, or just long,
In the head is not an order thing. It's yeah. So in the body it is. So now when I click on SID, I click on major. Hey, I didn't zoom in. That's why it's not doing that. But remember the button class I put on there? It's not attached. Or click on add a student. Again, button class, right? That's why we have to be careful when we do classes and those type of things. Class equals burp. And I'm just going to copy you and we'll copy you and put you on major. And now magically delicious, it works again. Except that it doesn't work. Should be on major as well. Major works. That a student did not.
No.
Oh, you know why? See that little circle? You know what that means? I didn't save it. Ta-da! Okay, so I'm not going to do this, but you can actually style form stuff. I just don't want to spend that much time. I only have 10 minutes left, and there is something I want to play with. So you do have classes. Sorry, I am fun to play with. I am fun to talk to. All right, so you have classes, and you do have things called states. So your links have state, and you can specify a different thing to happen on the different state, such as, wait, I clicked on the wrong freaking thing. Of course I did. Links, you fucking 4 different states. You have link, visited, hover, and active. Hover is the only one we give a shit about. What is hover? Hover is when you're actually going over it. Active is when you're actively clicking on it. If you wanted to make it do something, like a shadow or something, right as you click it, don't, because that's stupid, and nobody will ever fucking see it. I swear to God. I've seen people go, but I did this. And I'm like, you only see it for like a third of a second. I had a kid who couldn't understand why this something wasn't working because he was trying to do it on active. And that's when the moment the link is clicked, as you're clicking it, that's all that counts. She's like, I can't see it. It's not working. I'm like, oh shit. All right. Sorry. I got that out. Okay. All right. Because no, I mean, I hate to be that guy, but I would promise you I'll be answering questions relative to what you call it. So now we can do colon state, right? There's very few of them that have this, but this is one of them. So we're going to do a colon link, right? And we just put it here. And then we can put them all together, right? You can, sorry. This is active, whatever, right? Ta-da. Some people like to be active to be the hover as well. It's a moment, right? Like it really doesn't matter. Okay, so we don't have to specify anything for the what you call it, right? If you do it this way, you do. Okay, so this way is specifying that all of these are going to be this. So if you just specify the other one, hover, you'll lose all the other things. So what if I just specified A with no state and then specified hover, that would be fine. But I actually want to specify the state. So I'm going to leave active and I'm going to change this to hover. Hover. Sorry. I watched Hocus Pocus, by the way. It was terrible. It was terrible.
Oh, I heard it was absolutely.
It was terrible. I will say I didn't watch the original one until I was in high school. So I didn't really love the first one either. But I watched it in high school because I had girlfriends and they were like, this is the best movie in the whole world. Oh my God, what is it? Like, how could you not have seen it? I'm like, dude, this is a made for TV show, right? Like, this is not like, I don't know what you're trying to sell here. But anyway, all I did was change the background color and color. But I did watch it, and I could see how people would think it was cult classic, right? I can see it, right? Second one, I just don't think so. Did I not save it? Oh, crap. Did I not save it? No, I saved it. Okay. I refresh the page, and now we have a hover link. It looks pretty cool now. It's a little too light with the background. You'd have to actually play with the colors. But ta-da, you can make it do kind of things that used to require JavaScript to do this. Now we can just do it with CSS. Okay, I have time for one more thing, and I think we should do it. Okay, so tables. I don't want to create a CSS table. What I do want to do is, nope. There's something specific I want to do. It's like every other table. So I have function, and then only when that function is what you call it. And now it's crashing, or it's the internet being a dick. So every other row CSS, boom. You have got to be kidding me. The internet is not causing the Zoom is working fine. Oh, there we go. No, stop. That's the one I want to click. Oh, come on. You specify every other row to be a different color. You see this on reports in which is tabular information. What it allows you to do is read July very, very easily. because it lets you go across the page, and it's super useful. But it actually requires you to know a little bit about how the children work. I know you guys love children. God, I'm really funny. Anyway, I was talking about my child the other day with a student that came in to talk to me, and I was I was just having fun. I said, you know, the best what is it? Birth control is just listening to a professor talk about their kid. Yeah. Talk about all the stuff we have to do because we have to go here and we have to go here and we have to go here. All right, so I'm just going to set these to white and black so it just pops off the page and we don't have to worry about colors showing up or not looking good or whatever. You can actually specify more than this, by the way. You can specify all sorts of functions off of it. I really don't care.
You want to reverse it?
Yeah, did I not reverse? I did not reverse, you're correct. All right, there we go. And then we go into our first table and we click things and it looks like shit. But it looks like crap because of the spacing. So what can I do? Reduce the spacing. Hello. So I can just reduce the spell spacing. Magically delicious. Ta-da. I can remove the borders as well. I just didn't, and so forth, right? There's some, wait, why is there a freaking border on it? All right, where's my mousey? Yeah, I can get rid of the border. Oh yeah, border is 1. It's supposed to be 1. There you go. Make it 0, and all of a sudden, little stripy tables. Okay. You can do whatever you want with borders and those type of things. All that works. What a lot of people do too is they'll have the alternating rows, and then they'll set up lines in between. You can do that using just the TR tags or assigning that value to the TR tag to the what's call it. If I wanted padding, if I wanted to reintroduce padding because I removed it from the cell spacing, I can introduce it by just introducing it to the TD or to the TR or to the whatever. And it would do all the padding that you would want as an example. But this is like the only thing I'm going to actually require of you. I think I ask you to make link buttons, that type of thing. But I did run out of time. If ever I have time, I want to show you another, like really down with this. This is kind of amazing. You can just create a navigation bar and it's super freaking easy. You just create a list and then essentially you're styling the list. That's the time. Biggest eye. So I want you to try to making the page look exactly how you think it should look. When you say pretty, what does that mean? That's subjective, no?
Okay.
What if you like everything to be black and white?
No, I'm talking about like, I know it has to be readable because you have to read it, but
So
like.
it has to, so that,
Disgusting colors in my.
okay, so just so we're aware, I don't care. It has to be readable. Has to be, when I say professional, you know, tabular information should be tabular, right? Do I care about the color scheme? You want to go lime green and neon purple or neon pink? That's neon purple over here, right? I don't care. That part I don't care about. But it has to be, there has to be some limits, right? It has to be readable, right? You can't make all the text black and make the page black, right? And then you can't see anything. But it looks cool, man. I think it looks cool. Also, because I'm freaking blind, if you made it just slightly different color where you could see it and I can't, that's not readable. Yes, it should be starkly readable, right? But you know, that's the exception, right? If you color scheme wise, people have turned in a vast array of things. One guy he did actually do a monochrome, which is black and white. So he did everything in black and white, but it looked fine. You know, it wasn't basic. It wasn't just the default. He had color schemes and so forth. That's fine, but you have to try. You have to, I'm going to say you have to have like 5 or 6 tags, right? Something like that, right? That's all I'm asking for. It's only worth 5 points in homework 3. And you know, it's like literally 5 points in homework 3. Yes. So you had a question about homework 3. So I'm gonna obviously share this today, but oh, you know what else someone did? Oh, you're gonna love this. Someone liked my color scheme in class and just copied the CSS in. and got full credit. I don't care. So
Did he actually like it, or was he just lazy?
I don't like to speak ill of my students,
I think I'm
but
starting to like it, tell the students I'm doing it too.
huh?
A mixture of both.
No, he was straight up lazy, but it was fine. Like I don't care. You need to do something. Okay. Most people actually take. I would say, I I do allow you to just copy my code in, so that counts. What I'm going to tell you though is a lot of people have been like in the past playing with it and just seeing what they can do. So that's yeah. So more people do things than
Yeah, it's fun.
yeah. They might consider it fun or
But then
whatever.
you start seeing things like a pixel off, like.
Yeah. No. Don't do that. So you have to do the validation thing. I'm gonna do mine using it as a string, but if you want to do yours as a integer, like you want to go back and change, that means you have to change a lot. So be aware of that.
I did spring, unfortunately.
So if you did string, it's relatively easy. I showed you the regular expression. There's a couple of things, right? So it's not really hard. But yeah, so that's part one. Part two is generate HTML. That was last class. And then you add review, also last class. And then the last page is change the column headers to be links to the appropriately sorted page, which we kind of already did. And then use external style. Oh, it's 10%. External style sheet beautified pages in some way.
I don't know why I read that. I thought it said somewhere like graduate students can put this in there. I mean, I'm not a graduate student, obviously.
In previous class I did, but this homework's not great for graduate students. There's to add extra credit for this particular assignment. It's very difficult. Also, just so we're aware, just I'm gonna grade homework too, like today, tomorrow. I hope. But so this homework, wait, where's the graduate part? I didn't have a graduate part on that one.
I thought we did.
Yeah.
I know I did for this one. Yes. So there's 50% extra credit for this, right? So like you could get 150 on homework too. Undergraduates may do for extra credit.
Oh, that's mandatory for graduate students?
Yeah, they have to do it. We only have 2 of them, but they have to do it. And I thought they were on each one of homework assignments, but maybe not.
Yeah, they were for sure.
Yeah.
I don't remember.
I could have sworn it was on homework 1.
Yeah, I don't know. We can look at the syllabus, but homework 4, which isn't posted, will also have an extra credit assignment associated with it. And that one is problematic because that one, even if it's 10 points, it's really 20 points. Because that homework is worth 200 points, not.
I'm confused why I saw that. I swear it says something.
I'm
about
sorry.
adding images in for extra credit.
Nope, sorry.
What did I read?
Was it in the project?
I don't know.
Shouldn't have been in the project. Because what I found is if I require it, only 2 or 3 students will do it. Well, I mean, literally 2 or 3 students will do it. And then nobody else do it. So then I offered an extra credit. Even fewer students do it. It's easy, right? So the thing about images, if you want an image, we haven't done it yet, but we'll do it. If you guys are interested, we'll put avatars when we use users as an example. If you just specify an image URL, you just replace that with the href when you display an image and voila, right? You have a custom image wherever you want it. I mean, it's pretty simple to do. Some of you, I don't know how you're going to do your project without having images, right? Like somebody's doing a product web page, more or less. I don't know how you do it. I'm sorry. Like, I don't know. I don't know how you tell people that you're going to have something without like showing them something.
Nail polish.
That's all you need, right? And it's audio of him just saying snail polish. Looks good, trust, right? Is that what you just said?
This one's garbage.
This was this garbage. Don't buy this. Anyway, the point is, there's some things that I can see like it's going to be pretty hard. Some people are doing like a forum type thing. Some people, I got different people doing like a matchmaking thing, but their matchmaking things are very different. And so matchmaking, like I can see how, I guess it's not the dating website, but like you can see kind of how you might want a picture, or you can get away without them. A forum you can see without, but you can also see like it'd be easy to add an image if you wanted to do, like if you wanted to have a review, for example, that had, because like when you go to GameStop or whatever, you can always beautify things pretty quickly using images. And it looks really good, but no extra credit, I'm sorry. So I no longer require it if it makes you feel better, because it was just depressing that nobody could do it. Worse than that, I used to do it in class. That was depressing. Really, it's just a text. You just need to store in the database a text file. No, or you can just go to imagegoogle.com, find your images, and then yeah, you actually have websites that you can upload things, or just go find one. I don't care where you find it from. A databases goes way beyond the scope of this class, but databases can store the actual image total. It's totally doable to store it as a blob, but then you have to do a bunch of shit to make the blob appear on the web page. Does that make sense? That's not basic. To put it through the thing, that's the hard part. Is it possible? Yes. Do I recommend it? No. Please don't do that, because I'll know you copied it from someplace. Yes, I wouldn't expect graduate students to do it. No, store the file inside the database, not just the text, the URL, the actual file. That requires a little bit of sophistication. Let's just say that. Let's politely say a little bit of sophistication. And of course, I mean, I'll know. I'll just know.
Well, I mean, it was super fun.
So anyway, y'all have a great day. If you have any questions about homework 3, let me know.